That little girl doesn't belong in first class. Keep her dirty hands away from our premium passengers. The words slice through the air like a blade, sharp and cold. Victoria Hartwell stands in the aisle of Oceanic Airlines Flight 447, her blonde hair pulled back so tight it stretches the corners of her ice blue eyes. She's staring down at a stuffed elephant that just tumbled into the walkway and at the 6-year-old black girl reaching for it. Every passenger in the first-class cabin turns. Conversations stop. The collective intake of breath is audible. 6-year-old Zara Mitchell freezes her small hand halfway to her beloved stuffed elephant Peanut. Her father, Dominic Mitchell, looks up from his laptop in seat 1A, his expression shifting from confusion to something much more dangerous. "Excuse me." Dominic's voice is calm, but there's steel underneath the velvet. He's a tall man, broad-shouldered, with skin the color of deep mahogany and a presence that commands attention even in a simple charcoal hoodie. Victoria doesn't back down. If anything, she steps closer, her voice rising so the entire cabin can hear. "Sir, this is a premium cabin. Children need to be controlled. Some passengers pay good money to avoid disruptions." The coded language hangs in the air like smoke. Everyone understands what she really means. Amanda Pierce in seat 2B already has her phone out, finger hovering over the Instagram Live button. She's a travel blogger with 847,000 followers, and her instincts are screaming that something significant is about to unfold. Miguel Rodriguez in 3A shifts in his seat, his jaw tightening. As a successful supply chain executive, he's faced his share of discrimination, but never seen it directed at a child this young. Sarah Collins in 1F, a 67-year-old retired teacher and grandmother of 8, can't believe what she's witnessing. In 40 years of education, she never once raised her voice at a child, let alone publicly humiliated one. James Wright in 4C, a civil rights attorney, is already mentally cataloging what he's observing for the legal proceedings he senses are coming. Dominic slowly closes his laptop and stands. At 6'2", he towers over Victoria, but his movements are deliberate, controlled. "Ma'am, my daughter dropped her toy. She's retrieving it. There's nothing inappropriate about that. Your daughter, Victoria, says emphasizing the words with barely concealed disdain should learn proper airplane etiquette. This isn't a playground." Zara looks up at her father, confusion and hurt written across her young face. She doesn't understand why the pretty lady in the uniform is being so mean to her. All she wanted was to get Peanut back. Daddy Zara's voice is small, uncertain. The sound of his daughter's voice does something to Dominic. His expression doesn't change, but something shifts behind his eyes. Something cold and calculating begins to form. "It's okay, baby girl," he says softly, kneeling down to Zara's level. "Get your elephant. You're not doing anything wrong." Victoria steps forward, blocking Zara's path to the toy. "I think there's been some kind of mistake with your seats. Let me check your boarding passes again." "You've already checked them twice," Dominic says, standing back up. His voice drops a decibel. "They're valid. We're in the correct seats, and my daughter has every right to retrieve her belongings." Carlos Rivera, the Hispanic gate supervisor, appears at the front of the cabin, drawn by the commotion. He's worked for Oceanic for 15 years and has never seen anything quite like this. The tension is thick enough to cut. "Is there a problem here?" Carlos asks, though he can already see there clearly is. Victoria turns to him with obvious relief. "Carlos, thank goodness. We have a situation with passengers in 1A and 1K. I believe there may have been a seating error." Carlos looks at Dominic, then at little Zara still frozen by her father's legs, then back at Victoria. Something in his gut tells him this isn't about seating. "Sir, may I see your boarding passes?" Carlos asks politely. Dominic doesn't break eye contact with Victoria as he hands over his phone with their digital boarding passes displayed. Dominic Mitchell, Seat 1A. My daughter Zara, Seat 1K. Platinum status. confirmed and paid in full. Carlos scans the information, his expression growing more uncomfortable by the second. Everything is in order. More than in order. These are premium passengers with elite status. Everything appears to be correct, Carlos says quietly to Victoria. But Victoria isn't done. There's still the matter of appropriate behavior. The child was disrupting service, crawling around the cabin floor. She dropped her stuffed animal. Amanda Pierce speaks up from 2B, her finger now actively recording. I watched the whole thing. The little girl was just trying to pick up her toy. Victoria whirls around. Ma'am, please stay out of matters that don't concern you. A grown woman bullying a 6-year-old concerns me very much. Amanda replies, her voice steady. And I have 847,000 followers who would probably agree. The threat hangs in the air. In 2024, social media accountability is real and immediate. Miguel Rodriguez clears his throat. Excuse me, but I also witnessed what happened. The child did nothing wrong. Now, Sarah Collins speaks up, her grandmother instincts fully activated. Young lady, she addresses Victoria directly. That little girl has been nothing but polite and well-behaved this entire boarding process. She's sitting quietly with her father, not bothering anyone. James Wright adds his voice to the chorus. As an attorney, I feel compelled to point out that what I'm observing could constitute harassment of a minor passenger. Victoria's face flushes red. She's losing control of the situation and she knows it. But instead of backing down, she doubles down. I don't care who any of you are, she snaps. This is my cabin and I decide what's appropriate behavior. Some people need to learn that first class comes with certain expectations. The words land like a bomb. The coded language is now impossible to ignore. Dominic goes very still. When he speaks, his voice is quiet, but it carries to every corner of the cabin. Ma'am, I need you to be very careful about your next words. Victoria stares at him, seeing a black man in a hoodie who she's decided doesn't belong in her first-class cabin. She doesn't see the billionaire. She doesn't see the man whose company controls the technology that keeps planes in the sky. She doesn't see the father whose love for his daughter is about to reshape an entire industry. She sees what she wants to see. And it's about to cost her everything. I think Victoria says, her voice dripping with false authority, that you and your daughter would be more comfortable in the main cabin. I'm sure we can arrange alternative seating. The cabin goes dead silent. Even the ambient noise of the aircraft seems to fade away. Dominic looks down at Zara, who is still standing there holding his hand, not understanding why the lady is being so mean to them. He thinks about his wife Maya, who died 2 years ago in a car accident. He thinks about the promise he made at her grave to protect their daughter from a world that might try to diminish her. He thinks about every time he was underestimated, dismissed, or told he didn't belong somewhere. Every closed door he had to break down. Every structure he had to disrupt to create space for people who looked like him. And he makes a decision that will change everything. Ma'am, Dominic says, his voice carrying absolute certainty, in about 60 seconds, you're going to deeply regret the choice you just made. He pulls out his phone not to record like the other passengers, but to make a call that will ground 152 airports across North America. Victoria laughs, actually laughs at the perceived threat from a passenger she's decided has no power. She has no idea she's just kicked a hornet's nest that's about to bring down the entire aviation industry. The storm outside JFK International Airport hammers against the terminal windows with relentless fury. Inside Gate B12, the departure lounge buzzes with the nervous energy of delayed passengers. Flight 447 to Atlanta was supposed to depart an hour ago, but the weather has other plans. Dominic Mitchell sits in the uncomfortable airport seating, watching his daughter Zara color in a princess coloring book. Her tongue pokes out slightly in concentration as she carefully stays within the lines, just like her mother used to do. The resemblance is striking. Same large brown eyes, same determined expression, same gentle spirit that sees the best in everyone. For Dominic, Every moment with Zara is precious and painful in equal measure. 2 years ago, Maya Mitchell was driving home from her job as a pediatric nurse when a drunk driver ran a red light. She died on impact, leaving Dominic to raise their daughter alone. The grief nearly broke him, but Zara's need for stability pulled him back from the edge. Now, at 34, Dominic carries the weight of being both mother and father to a little girl who still sometimes cries for mama in the middle of the night. This trip to visit Maya's mother Dorothy in Brooklyn was Zara's first time flying without her mother's memory feeling quite so raw. "Daddy, look," Zara says, holding up her coloring page. "I made the princess look like Mama." Dominic's heart clenches, but he smiles. "It's beautiful, baby girl. Mama would love it." What none of the passengers boarding Flight 447 know is that they're sitting near one of the most powerful men in aviation technology. Dominic Mitchell's journey to the top was paved with exactly these kinds of moments. Being underestimated, dismissed, told he didn't belong. At 16, he was the only black student in MIT's computer science program surviving on a full scholarship and ramen noodles. Professors called him articulate like it was a surprise. Classmates assumed he was there for diversity quotas. He let their assumptions fuel his determination. By 19, he had built his first air traffic optimization algorithm in a dorm room solving problems that had stumped PhD researchers for years. The algorithm could reduce flight delays by 47% and save airlines millions in fuel costs. When he presented it to his professors, they suggested he might want to consider a less ambitious thesis project. He ignored them and filed for patents instead. At 24, with $50,000 borrowed against his grandmother's house, Dominic founded AeroTech Dynamics in a converted garage in Atlanta. His mother thought he was crazy to turn down a six-figure offer from Google to chase what she called airplane dreams. The early years were brutal. Venture capitalists would take meetings but never return calls. Airlines dismissed his proposals without serious consideration. He was told repeatedly that aviation was a relationship business and maybe he should gain more experience before approaching major carriers. What they meant was, "You don't look like someone who belongs in our boardrooms." But Dominic had learned that being underestimated was actually an advantage. While competitors focused on relationship building and golf course deals, he focused on building technology so good it couldn't be ignored. His breakthrough came during the 2019 air traffic control crisis. When the FAA's aging routines crashed during a peak travel weekend, stranding millions of passengers, AeroTech's backup protocols kept 847 airports operational. The industry finally had to pay attention. Today, AeroTech Dynamics is worth $2.8 billion. The company's Nexus approach controls fuel flow management for every major airport in North America. Air traffic coordination algorithms used by 60% of global carriers. Ground operations technology that manages everything from baggage handling to gate assignments. Weather routing protocols that save airlines $400 million annually in delay costs. Emergency landing procedures for critical situations. In simple terms, if AeroTech's operations go down, planes don't fly. But success hasn't insulated Dominic from the kind of treatment Victoria Hartwell is about to deliver. If anything, his wealth has made the discrimination more subtle, more coded, more insidious. 6 months ago, he was denied service at a Michelin-starred restaurant in Manhattan, despite having a confirmed reservation. The maitre d' looked at his casual clothes and claimed there had been a computer error. Dominic didn't cause a scene. He bought the restaurant instead and fired the entire management team. Last year, a security guard at a tech conference questioned whether he belonged at a keynote where he was the featured speaker. Instead of explaining, Dominic calmly took the stage and announced $50 million in funding for minority-owned tech startups. The pattern is always the same. See the black man in casual clothes make assumptions, act on bias, face consequences. But this time is different. This time, they've targeted his daughter. As they board Flight 447, Dominic notices the looks. The flight crew's eyes linger on them with a mixture of confusion and suspicion. A black man in a hoodie with a little black girl holding first-class tickets. The mental math doesn't compute for people who've been trained to see certain faces in certain spaces. Derek Thompson, a white flight attendant with perfectly coiffed hair and a practiced smile, greets them at the aircraft door with barely concealed skepticism. "Good afternoon. May I see your boarding passes?" Dominic holds out his phone. Derek scans it with slightly more force than necessary, as if expecting it to flash red with fraud warnings. Derek murmurs, staring at the screen longer than needed. "Platinum status. That's unusual." The comment hangs in the air like a challenge. Dominic knows exactly what Derek means by unusual. He means people who look like you don't usually sit in first class. "Is there a problem?" Dominic asks, his voice calm but firm. "Oh, no problem at all," Derek says with a fake smile. "Just want to make sure everything's in order. We've been having issues with fraudulent bookings lately. The lie is obvious and insulting. Fraudulent bookings are virtually impossible with modern airline security approaches. But it's the kind of lie that allows discrimination to hide behind policy." Jessica Martinez, the Hispanic purser, watches the interaction from behind Derek. She knows what she's seeing, the same kind of extra verification that gets applied selectively based on appearance. She's experienced it herself, but speaking up means risking her job, and she has 2 kids to feed, so she stays silent, hating herself for it. Captain Robert Hayes observes the scene from the cockpit doorway. At 55, he's seen this dynamic play out countless times over his 30-year career. Minority passengers getting randomly selected for additional screening, their documents checked with extra scrutiny, their behavior monitored more closely. He could intervene. His authority as captain gives him the power to shut down discriminatory behavior immediately. Instead, he returns to his cockpit telling himself it's not his department. This is the culture that created Victoria Hartwell. A culture where bias is enabled through silence, where discrimination is allowed to flourish because good people choose not to get involved. As Dominic and Zara make their way to their seats, passing curious stares from other first-class passengers, the foundation is already being laid for what's about to unfold. Victoria Hartwell has been working for Oceanic Airlines for 6 years. She started as an economy flight attendant, but clawed her way up to first class through a combination of ruthless ambition and an intuitive understanding of how to make wealthy passengers feel special. Her secret weapon is exclusion. She's mastered the art of making first-class passengers feel superior by subtly reinforcing who doesn't belong. A raised eyebrow at a passenger in casual clothes. A slightly longer pause before acknowledging certain guests. Small acts of microaggression that make paying customers feel like they're part of an exclusive club. It's worked beautifully for her career. She receives commendations for passenger satisfaction scores. Wealthy, frequent flyers request her specifically. Management considers her one of their top performers. What Victoria doesn't realize is that she's about to encounter someone who owns the very approaches that make her airline profitable. Someone whose quiet response to her behavior will demonstrate that in the modern world, true power doesn't announce itself with titles or uniforms. True power just acts. As Zara settles into seat 1K with her stuffed elephant peanut and Dominic opens his laptop to review fuel logistics contracts that affect every major airline in North America, neither of them knows that in approximately 47 minutes a single kick will shut down 152 airports. But the foundation is already in place. The technology is already under Dominic's control. The witnesses are already in their seats, phones charged and ready. All that remains is for Victoria Hartwell to make the choice that will define the rest of her life. Flight 447 reaches cruising altitude at exactly 2:31 p.m. The fasten seatbelt sign pings off and passengers begin to settle into what they expect will be a routine 3-hour flight to Atlanta. In first class, the atmosphere is one of muted luxury. Soft lighting, leather seats, and the gentle hum of engines create a sanctuary above the clouds. Passengers sip champagne and flip through magazines insulated from the chaos of coach behind them. Dominic is deep in spreadsheet analysis when Zara begins playing with Peanut, her beloved stuffed elephant. She's making the toy walk along her armrest, creating a little adventure story in her head about Peanut visiting the clouds. And then, Peanut meets the cloud puppies, Zara whispers to herself, completely absorbed in her imaginative play. The stuffed elephant performs an ambitious leap from armrest to tray table. But 6-year-old coordination isn't perfect. Peanut slips from Zara's small fingers and tumbles into the aisle with a soft thud. Oh no! Zara gasps, immediately unbuckling her seatbelt to retrieve her toy. This is the moment. This single innocent moment when a child reaches for her dropped toy. In any normal interaction, this would be met with understanding, maybe even help from nearby adults. But Victoria Hartwell isn't in a normal frame of mind. She's been watching the Mitchell family since takeoff with growing irritation. The little black girl playing with her toy. The father in his hoodie working on his laptop like he belongs in first class. Victoria approaches carrying a silver tray of hot towels for passenger service. She sees Peanut in the aisle and Zara scrambling from her seat to get it. What happens next will be replayed millions of times across social media platforms. It will be analyzed by legal experts, dissected by civil rights organizations, and become a defining moment in discussions about racism in America. Victoria doesn't step back to let the child retrieve her toy. She doesn't smile or offer assistance. She doesn't see a little girl who needs help. She sees an obstacle. With a look of pure annoyance, Victoria draws her foot back and kicks, hard. The steel-toed tip of her regulation shoe connects with Peanut, sending the stuffed elephant skittering across the cabin floor. But Victoria's aim is off. Her foot also catches Zara's small hand as the child reaches out. Crack! The sound is sharp and awful. Zara's gasp of pain is immediate, followed by a high-pitched scream that pierces the cabin like a siren. "Daddy!" She kicked me. Time slows. Every passenger in first class turns toward the commotion. Conversations stop. The gentle hum of the aircraft suddenly seems deafening. Amanda Pierce in seat 2B doesn't hesitate. Her finger hits the Instagram Live button on her phone camera. Her 847,000 followers are about to witness something extraordinary. Oh my God. Amanda breathes into her phone angle, capturing Victoria standing over crying Zara. A flight attendant just kicked a child. I am literally watching this happen right now. The live stream counter begins climbing immediately. 47 viewers, 139 viewers, 298 viewers. Miguel Rodriguez in 3A starts recording on Facebook Live, speaking rapidly in Spanish. No puedo creer lo que estoy viendo. Una azafata acaba de patear a una niña. I can't believe what I'm seeing. A flight attendant just kicked a little girl. His business network of Hispanic executives across Latin America starts sharing immediately. Sarah Collins in 1F, grandmother of 8 and retired teacher, is so shocked she drops her magazine. Her first instinct is protective. Young lady, she snaps at Victoria. What on earth do you think you're doing? James Wright in 4C, the civil rights attorney, is already mentally cataloging evidence. He discreetly starts his own recording while speaking into his phone. James Wright, bar number 4847. I'm documenting an assault on a minor passenger aboard Oceanic Flight 447. Timestamp, 2:47 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Dr. Kevin Parker, in 5A, a pediatrician, immediately assesses Zara's injury from across the aisle. That child needs medical attention, he announces loudly. I can see swelling already forming on her hand, but Victoria doesn't apologize. She doesn't show concern. She doesn't even acknowledge that she's just assaulted a child. Instead, she shows irritation. The child was blocking the aisle, Victoria announces to the cabin, as if that justifies her actions. Passengers need to control their children during service. The words hit the witnesses like physical blows. Amanda's live stream explodes. 247 viewers. 2, 891 viewers. 5, 602 viewers. Comments pour in. Did she just say that was the child's fault? Call the police. This is assault on a minor. Where is the captain? Miguel's Facebook feed triggers automatic translation. Flight attendant assaults child, shows no remorse. His network of business contacts across Mexico, Colombia, and Argentina begin sharing the video with their own networks. Sarah Collins stands up from her seat, all 5 feet of her grandmother fury activated. That baby was just picking up her toy. You kicked a 6-year-old child. James Wright speaks clearly for his recording. The perpetrator has just stated that the victim was at fault for being in her path. No apology offered. No medical attention requested for the injured child. Dr. Parker moves toward Zara, but Victoria blocks his path. Sir, please remain in your seat. We don't need passengers crowding the aisle. I'm a pediatrician, Dr. Parker says firmly. That child is injured and needs medical evaluation. I'll determine what medical attention is needed, Victoria snaps back. The audacity is breathtaking. She's just kicked a child and is now preventing medical care. Meanwhile, Dominic is kneeling beside his daughter, his heart breaking at her tears. Zara's small hand is already showing signs of swelling, and there's a small cut on her knuckle from Victoria's shoe. Baby girl, let Daddy see, he says softly, his voice gentle despite the rage building inside him. You're okay. You're safe. But his eyes, when they lift to look at Victoria, are absolutely terrifying. Ma'am, Dominic says, his voice carrying a quiet authority that makes the entire cabin go silent. You just assaulted my daughter. Victoria finally shows some uncertainty, but she's committed to her path now. Sir, your daughter was creating a safety hazard. Children need to remain in their seats during service. She was retrieving a dropped toy. She was blocking my path. So you kicked her. I moved an obstacle. The dehumanization is complete. Victoria has just referred to a 6-year-old child as an obstacle. Amanda's live stream now has 12,847 viewers. Did you all hear that? She called a little girl an obstacle. Comments are flooding in faster than the eye can read. Fire. Her now press charges. Protect that baby, where is security? Miguel's Spanish-language stream reaches 8,329 viewers with shares exploding across Latino social networks. The hashtag Justicia para Zara, Justice for Zara, begins trending in Mexico and Colombia. Sarah Collins is filming now too, her grandmother's indignation captured in real time. I am 67 years old, and I have never seen anything so cruel toward a child. James Wright continues his legal documentation. The perpetrator has now referred to the minor victim as an obstacle. Clear evidence of dehumanization. Medical attention is being denied. Then Victoria makes her second massive mistake. Derek Thompson, the male flight attendant, approaches to support his colleague. Victoria, is everything all right here, Derek? Thank you. This passenger's child was disrupting service. I had to take action. Derek, without witnessing the actual incident, immediately backs Victoria. Sir, children do need to follow cabin safety protocols. Your colleague kicked my daughter Dominic, says his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. I'm sure it was just a misunderstanding, Derek replies dismissively. There's no misunderstanding, Amanda calls out from her seat. It's all on video. She kicked a 6-year-old child. Derek's face pales, but he's committed now. Ma'am, please don't interfere in crew operations. Crew operations. Sarah Collins stands up again. Kicking children is not a crew operation. The social media explosion is now reaching critical mass. Amanda's Instagram live, 23,647 viewers. Miguel's Facebook live, 15,892 viewers. James's Twitter thread, 2,847 retweets. In 4 minutes. Sarah's Facebook video, 7,329 shares. News outlets are beginning to pick up the story. TMZ receives the first tip at 2:52 p.m. Local Atlanta news gets alerted. At 2:54 p.m., CNN receives multiple social media tips. At 2:56 p.m. Celebrity influencers start noticing Tyler Perry's assistant flags the video at 2:58 p.m. Taraji. P. Henson sees it shared by a follower at 3:01 p.m. John Legend's team notices it trending at 3:03 p.m. But the most dangerous development is happening in Seat 1A, where Dominic Mitchell is comforting his crying daughter while simultaneously making calculations that will reshape the aviation industry. He's not just angry, he's not just protective, he's planning. And in approximately 13 minutes, Victoria Hartwell will discover that she's just assaulted the daughter of the man who controls the technology that keeps planes in the sky. The documentation is complete. The witnesses are activated. The social media avalanche has begun. All that remains is for the world to learn who exactly they've been watching. The first-class cabin of Flight 447 has transformed into something unprecedented. A courtroom in the sky with passengers serving as both jury and media coverage. What started as a routine flight to Atlanta has become a real-time documentation of injustice and the power of collective witness. Amanda Pierce, travel blogger and inadvertent journalist, has never seen engagement like this on her Instagram Live. The viewer count keeps climbing: 34, 892, 47, 321, 58, 974. Her followers aren't just watching, they're actively participating in real-time justice. For those just joining, I'm documenting what appears to be an assault on a child by an Oceanic Airlines flight attendant, Amanda says into her phone, her voice steady despite her shock. A 6-year-old girl dropped her stuffed animal, and when she tried to pick it up, the flight attendant kicked her. We have multiple witnesses, and the child is visibly injured. Comments flood her screen faster than she can read them. Is this really happening? Call the FBI. Sue them into bankruptcy. That poor baby. Where are her supervisors? Amanda continues her live coverage. The flight attendant, whose name tag reads Victoria, has shown no remorse. She actually called the child an obstacle and is preventing medical attention. Meanwhile, Miguel Rodriguez's Facebook Live has triggered something extraordinary in the Hispanic community. His professional network includes executives, lawyers, doctors, and business owners across Latin America. The video is being shared in Mexico City boardrooms, Bogotá law offices, and Miami investment firms. Esto es inaceptable, Miguel says into his camera. Una niña inocente atacada por una azafata. No podemos permitir esto. This is unacceptable. An innocent child attacked by a flight attendant. We cannot allow this. His feed explodes with responses from Hispanic business leaders. Carlos Mendoza, CEO of Mexicorp Sharing, with our 50,000 employees. Dr. Isabella Santos, Miami Children's Hospital. This is child abuse, attorney Maria Fernandez, Los Angeles. Pursuing federal charges immediately. The hashtag Justicia para Zara begins trending in Mexico, Colombia, Venezuela, and across Hispanic communities in the United States. James Wright, the civil rights attorney, has shifted into professional documentation mode. His Twitter thread is being shared by legal experts across the country. Thread documenting assault on minor aboard Oceanic Air Flight 447. 1:17:2. Time 2:47 p.m. EST. Flight attendant Victoria Hartwell kicked 6-year-old passenger who was retrieving dropped toy. 3. Physical contact confirmed. Victim sustained visible injury to hand. Medical attention requested by MD on board, denied by perpetrator. 4. Perpetrator referred to minor victim as obstacle. Clear dehumanization. No apology offered. 5. Crew member. Derek Thompson arrived and supported perpetrator without investigating incident. 6. Multiple passenger witnesses. Video evidence from several angles. Flight attendant showing no remorse. Each tweet gains thousands of retweets within minutes. The legal community is mobilizing Harvard law professor retweets with analysis. ACLU shares with 1.7 million followers. National Bar Association flags for investigation. Children's rights advocates amplify the story. Dr. Kevin Parker, the pediatrician in 5A, stands up despite Victoria's protests. I'm evaluating this child's injuries whether you like it or not. I have a medical obligation. He addresses Amanda's live stream directly. As a pediatrician with 20 years of experience, I can tell you that what I witnessed was an intentional assault on a minor. The force used was excessive and dangerous. Dr. Parker kneels beside Zara, his voice gentle. Sweetie, I'm a doctor. Can you show me where it hurts? Zara, still crying, holds up her small hand. The swelling is obvious, and there's a small cut where Victoria's steel-toed shoe made contact. Possible fracture. Dr. Parker announces loudly enough for all the recording devices to capture. Definite soft tissue damage. This child needs immediate medical evaluation upon landing. The medical testimony adds weight to the legal case building in real time. Sarah Collins' grandmother and retired teacher has found her voice. At 67, she's lived through the civil rights era and recognizes injustice when she sees it. I taught elementary school for 40 years, she says, addressing Amanda's camera. Never once did I lay a hand on a child in anger. This woman kicked a 6-year-old for dropping a toy. Where is her humanity? Sarah's Facebook video posted from her own phone resonates powerfully with other grandmothers and educators. Grandmother watches, flight attendant, assault child. Retired teacher, horrified by airline employee behavior. 67-year-old woman demands justice for kicked child. The video receives 15,000 shares in 10 minutes, spreading through networks of teachers, grandparents, and child advocates. But the most powerful testimony comes from an unexpected source. Lisa Rodriguez, a child psychologist in seat 6B, has been quietly observing the psychological impact on Zara. She stands up to address the cabin. I'm Dr. Lisa Rodriguez, licensed child psychologist. What I'm witnessing isn't just physical assault. It's psychological trauma being inflicted on a developing child in front of dozens of strangers. She looks directly into Amanda's live stream. This child will remember this moment for the rest of her life. The public humiliation, the pain, the fear. And the perpetrator is showing no concern for the psychological damage she's caused. The professional psychological assessment goes viral immediately. Child advocacy groups across the country begin sharing and commenting. Meanwhile, the story is reaching celebrity amplification. 3:15 p.m. Tyler Perry's Twitter watching this live. Unacceptable. Legal team standing by. 3:17 p.m. Taraji P. Henson. Protect our children. This is why we can't have nice things. Justice for this baby. 3:19 p.m. John Legend. Assault on a child. On video. Multiple witnesses. There must be consequences. 3:21 p.m. Oprah Winfrey. This breaks my heart. That precious child deserves justice. 3:23 p.m. Ava DuVernay. The audacity, the cruelty, the complete lack of humanity. This ends today. Each celebrity share multiplies the audience exponentially. Tyler Perry's 4.2 million followers. Oprah's 45 million. John Legend's 14 million. The story is reaching unprecedented scale. News organizations are scrambling to catch up. CNN assignment desk dispatches crew to Atlanta Airport, MSNBC Live. Coverage begins with airline discrimination expert, Fox News. Books civil rights attorney for immediate segment. Local Atlanta stations crews, en route to Hartsfield-Jackson. New York stations reporters heading to JFK for arrival coverage. The passenger in seat 4B. Thomas Bradley has been quietly recording everything on his phone. He's a documentary filmmaker, and his professional instincts kicked in immediately. I've filmed some difficult subjects, Thomas says into his camera, but I've never seen anything quite like this. The casual cruelty, the complete lack of empathy. This flight attendant kicked a child and seems genuinely confused about why people are upset. His filmmaker perspective adds artistic weight to the documentation. Back in the aisle, Victoria is beginning to realize the magnitude of her situation. Every passenger in first class is either recording live streaming or posting about what they've witnessed. The hashtags are multiplying Victoria. Hartwell Oceanic Airlines. Assault Justice. For Zara. Kicked Child. Airline. Accountability. Protect our children. But she's committed to her position now. Admitting fault would be career suicide, so she continues to defend her actions. "Ladies and gentlemen," Victoria announces to the cabin, "I need everyone to remain calm. The situation is under control." "Under control?" Sarah Collins responds incredulously. "You kicked a child." "How is that under control, ma'am? Please lower your voice. You're disturbing other passengers. The gaslighting is breathtaking." Victoria has just assaulted a child and is now tone policing the witnesses. James Wright speaks for his legal documentation perpetrator, now attempting to silence witnesses. Classic intimidation tactics. Amanda's live stream audience has reached 89,000 viewers. The comments are a river of outrage. "She's trying to silence witnesses. Federal charges now save that baby. Where is the captain ground this airline?" Then Derek Thompson makes everything worse. "Victoria's right," Derek announces. "Everyone needs to calm down and return to their seats. The crew is handling this situation appropriately." The audacity is stunning. A child has been assaulted and the crew is claiming they're handling it appropriately. Miguel Rodriguez stands up, his businessman's composure cracking. "Appropriately. A 6-year-old was kicked, and you think this is appropriate?" "Sir, I need you to sit down," Derek responds. "No," Miguel says firmly. "I'm a passenger on this aircraft and I have rights. My daughter is 6 years old. If someone kicked her, I'd expect the crew to protect her, not protect the person who hurt her." His words resonate powerfully. Other passengers begin standing in support. The uprising is organic and unstoppable. These aren't protesters or activists. They're ordinary people, business travelers, grandmothers, professionals, who've witnessed something so fundamentally wrong that they can't remain passive. Amanda continues her live coverage. "This is unprecedented. I've never seen passengers unite like this. Everyone is standing up for this little girl." At this point, Dominic Mitchell has been quietly comforting Zara while observing everything. He's watched the witnesses emerge. He's seen the social media explosion. He's witnessed the crew double down on defending the indefensible. And he's made his decision. It's time for the world to learn who exactly they've been watching. At exactly 4:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 152 airports across North America are about to experience something unprecedented in the history of commercial aviation. Dominic Mitchell stands up from seat 1A. The cabin goes quiet. Not the nervous quiet of earlier, but the expectant quiet of people sensing that something significant is about to happen. "Ladies and gentlemen," Dominic says, his voice carrying effortlessly through the first-class cabin. "My name is Dominic Mitchell." He pauses, letting the name settle. Several passengers recognize it immediately. Thomas Bradley, the filmmaker, actually gasps. Amanda Pierce's live stream viewers start typing frantically in the comments. For those unfamiliar, I'm the founder and controlling owner of AeroTech Dynamics. The recognition spreads like wildfire. AeroTech Dynamics isn't just another tech company. It's the technological backbone of North American aviation. AeroTech provides the critical infrastructure for commercial aviation operations. We control fuel management protocols, air traffic coordination algorithms, and ground operations technology for 847 airports across the United States, Canada, and Mexico. Victoria's face begins to drain of color. Even she knows what AeroTech is. Their approaches control everything from the fuel pumps to the runway lights. Amanda's live stream explodes 127,000 viewers and climbing rapidly. Comments pour in. Holy shit, he's that Mitchell. The tech billionaire. She kicked the daughter of a billionaire. He can shut down airports. Justice incoming. Miguel Rodriguez whispers into his Facebook Live, Dios mío, es el dueño de los aeropuertos. My God. He owns the airports. Dr. Parker recognizes the name from medical technology conferences. James Wright knows him from civil rights fundraisers. Sarah Collins saw him on Forbes covers in her dentist's office. 1 hour ago, Dominic continues, his voice remaining calm. That flight attendant kicked my 6-year-old daughter and showed no remorse. She then made it clear that she believes people who look like us don't belong in first class. The cabin is absolutely silent except for the quiet whir of phone cameras recording. I gave her multiple opportunities to do the right thing. To apologize. To show basic human decency toward a child she injured. Instead, she doubled down. Your crew supported her. Your management tried to minimize it. Dominic pulls out his phone. Not an ordinary smartphone, but a military-grade device with biometric security. He opens an app labeled AeroTech Command Center. So now Dominic says, his thumb hovering over the screen, I'm going to demonstrate the difference between authority and power. The biometric scanner reads his fingerprint. The screen unlocks, displaying a map of North America dotted with airport locations. Each dot pulses green, indicating active approaches. Elena, he says into the phone, calling his chief technology officer. Execute Code Red protocol. Target Oceanic Airlines. Full suspension. Helena Vasquez's voice comes through clearly on speaker, sir, that will ground their entire fleet. 847 aircraft, 94,000 passengers. Are you certain I know exactly what it will do? Execute. Authorization confirmed. Code Red protocol activating for Oceanic Airlines. What happens next unfolds with surgical precision. 4:02 p.m. Fuel approaches offline. At JFK Airport, Oceanic fuel trucks grinding to a halt mid-delivery. Warning lights flash on fuel management consoles. Ground crews receive routine suspended alerts on their tablets. At Hartsfield-Jackson in Atlanta, fuel operations supervisors stare at screens showing access denied, Oceanic Airlines. At LAX, fuel technicians watch helplessly as their approaches lock them out of oceanic refueling protocols. Across 152 airports, the same message appears. Nexus lockout. Oceanic Airlines. Authorization suspended. 4:03 p.m. Air traffic disruption. Oceanic flights lose priority routing algorithms. Flight paths that normally optimize for fuel efficiency and time revert to basic protocols, adding 20 to 30 minutes to every route. Ground control towers receive automated notifications. Oceanic Airlines. Reduced service level. Proceed with caution. Departure delays begin cascading as oceanic flights are moved to the back of takeoff queues. 4:04 p.m. Ground operations shut down. Baggage handling approaches reject oceanic flight codes. Conveyor belts stop mid-cycle. Baggage tags won't scan. Gate assignment approaches revoke oceanic access, causing mass confusion as departure gates go dark. Boarding technology goes offline. Passenger scanners won't read oceanic boarding passes. Ground crew radios crackle with confused voices. All oceanic approaches are down. Repeat, all approaches down. 4:05 p.m. The realization. The passenger Wi-Fi on Flight 447 pings with breaking news alerts. CNN breaking Oceanic Airlines flights suspended globally. Reuters. Aviation technology crisis grounds. Major carrier AP-152 airports report. Oceanic routine failures. Bloomberg. AeroTech shuts down operations for major airline. Victoria. Reads over a passenger's shoulder, her face going completely white. This can't be real, she whispers. Dominic's response is quiet steel. I just shut down every oceanic flight in North America. Your planes are grounded until your company learns that children deserve respect regardless of their skin color. The words hit the cabin like a physical force. Amanda's live stream audience has exploded to 234,000 viewers. Comments scroll too fast to read. He actually did it. Most expensive lesson ever. Protect black children. Biblical justice. Oceanic is done. 4:06 p.m. The corporate panic. At Oceanic Airlines headquarters in Miami, chaos erupts. Alarm approaches Blair. Emergency protocols activate. The operations center descends into controlled panic. CEO Alexander Brennan's phone explodes with calls from airport operations, fleet management, and regulatory agencies. Sir, his chief technology officer stammers, "We're locked out of everything. AeroTech controls our core approaches. Without them, we literally cannot fly." Operations Chief Thomas Bradley rushes in. "Sir, it's a complete shutdown. Fuel routing ground ops passenger approaches. Everything's down." Legal counsel David Martinez follows close behind. "Sir, this could bankrupt us. We have 94,000 stranded passengers. The liability alone." Brennan grabs his phone to call Dominic directly. 4:07 p.m. The phone call. Dominic's phone rings. He looks at the caller ID, Alexander Brennan, CEO Oceanic Airlines. He answers on speaker so the entire cabin can hear. Mr. Mitchell Brennan's voice is strained, desperate. "This is Alexander Brennan. I believe we need to discuss this situation immediately." Mr. Brennan. Dominic responds calmly. "What situation would that be?" "Sir, our approaches are down globally. Our passengers are stranded. This is unprecedented." "What's unprecedented, Mr. Brennan, is your employee kicking a 6-year-old child and your crew defending it. What's unprecedented is trying to cover up the assault of a minor passenger." Silence on the other end of the line. Mr. Mitchell. "Surely we can resolve this professionally." "Mr. Brennan, your employee kicked my daughter. Your crew supported her. Your company tried to minimize it. What exactly did you think would happen?" 4:08 p.m. The immediate consequences. The stock market reacts instantly. Oceanic Airlines. Oceanic down 34% and falling. Competitor airlines surge as passengers scramble for alternatives. AeroTech Dynamics private valuations soar in after-hours trading. Social media explodes globally. Dominic Mitchell trends worldwide. Oceanic Airlines. Down spreads across platforms. Justice. For Zara reaches 2.3 million tweets. Fatherly. Love becomes a viral hashtag. International news coverage begins. BBC American airline grounded after child assault. Deutsche Welle. Technology executive shuts down carrier. Al Jazeera. Aviation discrimination. Sparks industry shutdown. 4:09 p.m. Victoria's breakdown. Victoria finally understands the magnitude of her actions. She's not just facing termination. She's facing federal charges, civil litigation, and global infamy. "Mr. Mitchell," she stammers. I didn't know. I'm sorry." Dominic's response is devastating in its simplicity. "You didn't kick my daughter because you didn't know who I was. You kicked her because you knew exactly who she was. A little black girl you decided didn't matter." The truth hits the cabin like a bomb. This wasn't about mistaken identity or miscommunication. This was about racism, pure and simple. "That's not... I would never..." Victoria tries to defend herself. Ma'am James Wright interrupts. "It's all on video. Your words, your actions, your complete lack of remorse. The evidence speaks for itself. Amanda's live stream audience has reached 389,000 viewers. International news organizations are requesting permission to use her footage." 4:10 p.m. Captain Hayes emerges. Captain Robert Hayes finally leaves his cockpit. understanding that his career is on the line. Mr. Mitchell, surely we can resolve this professionally. Ground the airline seems excessive. Dominic's response is withering. Captain, you had authority to address the assault of a child passenger. You chose to stay in your cockpit. Now you're all grounded until you remember that basic human decency is not negotiable. The power dynamic has completely shifted. The crew members who thought they controlled the environment now understand they're completely powerless. 4:11 p.m. The global impact. Reports flood in from airports worldwide. London Heathrow. All oceanic departures canceled indefinitely. Frankfurt Lufthansa offering emergency rebooking for stranded oceanic passengers. Tokyo Haneda. ANA coordinating alternate transport for affected travelers. Dubai. Emirates opening additional capacity for oceanic passengers. The aviation industry scrambles to accommodate 94,000 suddenly stranded passengers. 4:12 p.m. The moment of truth. Dominic looks around the cabin at the witnesses who stood up for his daughter. At Amanda, still live streaming to nearly 400,000 viewers. At Miguel, broadcasting to the Hispanic community. At Sarah, representing outraged grandmothers everywhere. At James, documenting for legal proceedings. At Dr. Parker, providing medical testimony. I want to thank every passenger who witnessed what happened to my daughter and chose to speak up. You proved that ordinary people have extraordinary power when they refuse to accept injustice. The cabin erupts in spontaneous applause. Not the polite applause of an airplane landing, but the thunderous applause of people who've witnessed justice in action. As the applause dies down, Dominic makes one final statement. Oceanic Airlines will resume operations when they demonstrate that every child, regardless of race, regardless of background, will be treated with dignity and respect. Until then, their planes stay on the ground. The most expensive lesson in corporate accountability in aviation history has just been delivered, and it all started with a 6-year-old girl reaching for her stuffed elephant. 4:47 p.m. The corporate surrender. In the executive boardroom of Oceanic Airlines headquarters in Miami, the atmosphere is that of a funeral parlor. Emergency lights flash on monitoring screens. Phone lines ring incessantly. Stock prices plummet in real time on wall-mounted displays. CEO Alexander Brennan, 52 years old and gray-haired from 3 decades in aviation, sits at the head of a mahogany conference table worth more than most people's homes. Around him, his executive team looks shell-shocked. 47 minutes, Brennan says quietly. In 47 minutes, one passenger shut down our entire operation. Chief Financial Officer Rebecca Walsh pulls up damage assessments on her tablet. Sir, preliminary estimates suggest $47 million in losses just from today's groundings. If this continues through tomorrow. It won't continue through tomorrow. Legal counsel David Martinez interrupts. We can't survive this. Our insurance won't cover operational shutdowns caused by employee misconduct. We're looking at bankruptcy within 72 hours. Operations Chief Thomas Bradley adds to the grim news, Sir, competitors are already poaching our stranded passengers. Delta, American, and United have opened emergency booking for our customers. We're losing market share by the hour. Brennan's phone buzzes with a secure call. The screen displays D. Mitchell, direct line. Put him on speaker. Brennan orders, his voice heavy with defeat. Mr. Brennan. Dominic's voice fills the boardroom with calm authority. I trust you've had time to assess your situation. Mr. Mitchell. Brennan responds, his voice strained. I want to personally apologize for the inexcusable behavior of our employee. This does not represent Oceanic Airlines' values. Mr. Brennan. Dominic's response is surgical in its precision. Your employee kicked my 6-year-old daughter. Your crew defended her. Your management attempted damage control instead of accountability. These are your values as demonstrated by your actions. Silence hangs heavy in the boardroom. What will it take to restore operations? Brennan asks, knowing he's completely powerless. Mr. Brennan, I'm going to give you a list of non-negotiable demands. You'll have 30 minutes to accept them in their entirety, or Oceanic Airlines will remain grounded indefinitely. The demands. First, immediate termination. Victoria Hartwell is fired with cause forfeiting all benefits and severance. Derek Thompson, who supported the assault, is also terminated. Captain Hayes is suspended pending federal investigation for failing to protect passenger safety. Patricia Wong, who attempted to minimize child assault, is fired effective immediately. Legal counsel Martinez winces. Firing 4 employees simultaneously will trigger multiple wrongful termination lawsuits, but they have no choice. Second, the Zara Protocol. Oceanic Airlines will implement zero-tolerance policies for discrimination with mandatory bias training for all 47,000 employees. Training will be conducted by independent organizations, not internal HR. Any employee found guilty of discriminatory behavior faces immediate termination. HR Director Sandra Kim frantically takes notes. Retraining 47,000 employees will cost approximately $23 million. Third, independent oversight. Oceanic will establish a passenger advocacy board with diverse representation, including minority community leaders. This board will have authority to investigate complaints and recommend policy changes. Fourth, financial accountability. $2.5 million donated to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children for Trauma Counseling Programs. $1 million for minority aviation scholarships. Complete medical coverage for Zara's psychological treatment. $50,000 to each passenger witness who documented the assault. CFO Walsh calculates quickly $3.8 million in direct costs, plus ongoing medical expenses. Fifth, public accountability. Oceanic will issue formal apologies across all media platforms acknowledging the assault and announcing these changes. No corporate spin, no regrettable incident language. Full acknowledgement of employee misconduct. Sixth, structural changes. Diverse hiring requirements for management positions. Cultural sensitivity audits at all locations. Real-time discrimination reporting approaches accessible to passengers and employees. Brennan looks around the table at his executive team. Every face reflects the same understanding they have no choice. Mr. Mitchell. Brennan says quietly, "We accept your terms in their entirety." "Excellent. You have 2 hours to begin implementation. My technology team will monitor your progress. Any deviation from these agreements results in permanent shutdown." The line goes dead. 4:52 p.m. Victoria's downfall. Meanwhile, aboard Flight 447, Victoria Hartwell experiences the most humiliating walk of her career. Airport security has been radioed ahead. FBI agents are en route to the gate. Her employment is terminated effective immediately. As she gathers her crew bag from the galley, every passenger watches. Amanda Pierce's live stream, now reaching 467,000 viewers, captures every moment of Victoria's shame. "I'm watching the flight attendant who assaulted the child being escorted off the aircraft," Amanda narrates. She's being met by law enforcement at the gate. Victoria's hands shake as she collects her belongings. 6 years of building her career destroyed in 30 seconds of cruelty toward a child. Derek Thompson follows behind her, equally devastated. His support of Victoria's actions has cost him his job, his reputation, and his future in aviation. Captain Hayes emerges from the cockpit one final time, his uniform stripped of authority. "Mr. Mitchell," he says quietly, "I failed your daughter today. I should have intervened immediately." Dominic's response is measured. "Captain, you had the power to stop the assault of a child. You chose convenience over courage. That choice has consequences." 5:15 p.m. Hero passenger recognition. As news of the resolution spreads, the passengers who witnessed and documented the assault become unlikely heroes. Amanda Pierce receives calls from CNN, MSNBC, and The Today Show requesting interviews. Her Instagram following grows by 200,000 in 2 hours. Miguel Rodriguez becomes a symbol of corporate allyship in the Hispanic community. Business leaders across Latin America reach out to collaborate on discrimination prevention initiatives. Sarah Collins, the 67-year-old grandmother, receives thousands of messages from other grandparents applauding her courage. Her Facebook video reaches 2.7 million views. James Wright, the attorney, is contacted by civil rights organizations nationwide. His legal documentation becomes the template for prosecuting airline discrimination cases. Dr. Kevin Parker's medical testimony leads to consulting opportunities with children's advocacy groups. 5:30 p.m. Government response. In Washington, D.C., the incident triggers immediate government action. Secretary of Transportation Maria Santos issues a statement. The Department of Transportation will investigate this incident thoroughly. Civil rights violations in aviation will face the full force of federal law. FAA Administrator Robert Kim announces, "We are reviewing Oceanic's safety culture and passenger treatment protocols. Airlines that cannot protect children cannot ensure passenger safety." Representative Alexandria Martinez, DCA, calls for congressional hearings. If airlines cannot protect our children from their own employees, Congress will ensure they do. Senator Elizabeth Warren tweets corporate accountability in action. When companies enable discrimination, they face consequences. 6:00 p.m. Industry transformation. Within 2 hours of Dominic's shutdown, the aviation industry begins transforming itself. Delta Airlines CEO. We applaud Mr. Mitchell's stand against discrimination. Delta implements enhanced passenger protection protocols, effective immediately. American Airlines. All employees will receive mandatory bias training within 60 days. Children deserve special protection in our care. United Airlines. We're establishing passenger advocacy programs at all hub airports. Every voice will be heard. Southwest Airlines hospitality means everyone belongs here. We're reviewing all passenger interaction protocols. The message is clear. The industry understands that tolerance for discrimination is no longer acceptable. 6:15 p.m. Social media victory. Global hashtags reach unprecedented levels. Zara wins. 14.7 million tweets. Dominic Mitchell. 8.3 million mentions. Justice served. 12. 1 million posts. Protect our children. 19.2 million engagements. Celebrity support continues pouring in. Oprah Winfrey. Sometimes it takes a father's love to change an entire industry. Justice for Zara. LeBron James. When they hurt our children, we respond with power and purpose. Respect to Dominic Mitchell. Tyler Perry. I've started a scholarship fund for children who face discrimination. Zara's courage inspired this. Ava DuVernay. This is what accountability looks like when power meets purpose. 6:30 p.m. Victoria's final reckoning. At JFK Airport, Victoria Hartwell sits in a security office awaiting FBI arrival. Her phone buzzes with termination notices, legal summons, and interview requests from news organizations. Her final text to her sister reads, "I destroyed my life over a stuffed elephant. I don't know who I became." The woman who thought she had authority to kick a child discovers that real authority belongs to those who protect children, not those who harm them. 6:45 p.m. The restoration. With Oceanic's full compliance confirmed, Dominic makes the call that restores aviation normalcy. Elena begin gradual restoration of Oceanic approaches. 75% capacity to start. Full restoration pending completion of employee terminations and policy implementations. Understood, sir. Approaches coming online now. Across 152 airports, Oceanic operations slowly resume. Fuel trucks restart. Gate assignments reactivate. Baggage approaches come back online. But the aviation industry will never be the same. In 152 minutes, a father's love for his daughter changed corporate culture forever. The lesson is clear: when you harm a child, you don't face just the parents. You face the entire community of people who believe children deserve protection. And sometimes that community includes someone with the power to ground an entire airline until justice is served. 6 months later, the morning sun streams through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Dominic Mitchell's Atlanta penthouse as he sits across from his daughter at their breakfast table. Zara, now 7 years old, carefully spreads peanut butter on her toast while regaling her father with plans for her upcoming school presentation. And then, I'm going to tell everyone how the nice people on the airplane stood up for me, Zara says, her voice bright with excitement. Mrs. Garcia said, I can show the videos that the lady took. Dominic smiles, watching his daughter's animated gestures. The small scar on her knuckle has faded to barely visible, but the confidence she's gained from witnessing justice in action has grown stronger every day. Baby girl, what do you want to tell them about what happened? Zara pauses thoughtfully, her expression serious beyond her years. I want to tell them that when someone is mean to you, you don't have to be mean back. You can be strong and make the world more fair for everyone. The wisdom in her words takes Dominic's breath away. This is Maya's daughter, he thinks. Kind heart, fierce spirit, unshakable moral compass. That's exactly right, sweetheart. And you know what the best part is? What, Daddy? All those people who stood up for you, they're still out there making sure other children are safe, too. The ripple effects. 6 months after Flight 447, the aviation industry operates under what insiders call the Mitchell Standard, the understanding that corporate power comes with the responsibility to protect the vulnerable. Amanda Pierce has transformed from travel blogger to children's rights advocate. Her documentation of Zara's assault led to a Netflix documentary deal with all proceeds donated to anti-bullying organizations. She now travels the country speaking at schools about the power of witnessing and speaking truth. Miguel Rodriguez established the Latino Aviation Safety Foundation, providing scholarships and advocacy for Hispanic families in the aviation industry. His corporate network has grown into a powerful force for workplace equality across multiple industries. Sarah Collins, the grandmother whose outrage went viral, has become an unlikely social media sensation. Her Facebook page, Grandma Sarah Speaks Up, has 2.3 million followers and raises money for children's charities. Airlines now specifically train employees to listen to grandmother's feedback. James Wright's legal documentation became the gold standard for civil rights cases in transportation. He's argued 3 Supreme Court cases on discrimination and established the Wright Institute for Transportation Justice. Dr. Kevin Parker leads the Children's Aviation Safety Commission, ensuring medical protocols exist for any child injured during air travel. The institutional changes. Oceanic Airlines, under new leadership, has become the industry model for inclusive corporate culture. The Zara Protocol has prevented 847 documented incidents of passenger discrimination. Employee satisfaction scores increased 73% after bias training implementation. Customer loyalty reached all-time highs as passengers choose airlines that prioritize dignity. Diverse hiring increased management representation by 156%. Other airlines rushed to implement similar programs. Delta's Dignity in Flight initiative, Americans' Everyone Belongs campaign, United's Safe Skies for All protocols. Southwest's Love Means Everyone program. The federal government responded with lasting legislation. The Passenger Dignity Act passed with bipartisan support. Federal protections for airline passengers strengthened mandatory discrimination. Reporting requirements implemented. Children granted special protection status during air travel. The personal transformation. In a minimum security federal prison in Georgia, Victoria Hartwell serves her 18-month sentence for assault on a minor. But her real punishment began long before her trial. The woman who kicked a child because of racial bias now spends her days in a cell where 73% of inmates are women of color. She's learned through necessity and humility to see people as individuals rather than racial stereotypes. Her cellmate Maria Santos, a young mother serving time for drug charges, has become an unlikely teacher. Victoria. Maria says one evening as they clean their shared space, "What do you think that little girl sees when she looks in the mirror now?" The question haunts Victoria. She's spent months thinking about the 30 seconds that destroyed her life, but she's never considered the lasting impact on Zara. "I don't know," Victoria admits. She sees someone strong enough to make the whole world stop and listen when someone hurts her. That's a gift, even though it came from something terrible. Victoria has begun writing letters to child advocacy organizations, sharing her story as a cautionary tale. Her transformation isn't about redemption, some actions can't be undone, but about using her disgrace to prevent others from making the same choice. The global impact. The incident sparked international conversations about discrimination in transportation. European airlines implemented child safety advocates on every flight. Asian carriers established passenger dignity officers. Latin American airlines created cultural sensitivity protocols. African aviation authorities mandated bias training for all personnel. Corporate America took notice beyond aviation. Hotels established Zara protocols for family services. Restaurants trained staff on inclusive hospitality. Retail companies created child protection policies. Technology firms built bias detection into customer service algorithms. 1 year later, full circle. Dominic and Zara board. Oceanic Flight 447. The same route that changed everything. But this time they're greeted by flight attendant Maria Gonzalez, a Hispanic single mother who trained under the new protocols. "Welcome aboard, Mr. Mitchell," Maria says warmly. "And hello there, Zara. I have a special seat saved just for you." Zara smiles brightly, no longer afraid of airplane staff. She carries a new stuffed animal. Not Peanut, who has a place of honor on her bedroom shelf, but a little airplane named Hope. "Thank you," Miss Maria Zara says politely. "I like your airplane." "Do you have children too?" "I do, sweetie." "A little boy about your age. And do you know what I tell him every day? What that every child deserves to feel safe and loved no matter where they go." As they settle into their seats, Zara looks up at her father. "Daddy, everyone is so nice now." Dominic smiles, adjusting her seatbelt. "That's because people learned to see you the way I see you, as someone who belongs everywhere she wants to go." The plane takes off into clear skies. Below them, 152 airports operate under protocols that ensure every child feels safe, welcome, and valued. The Foundation's legacy. The Mitchell Foundation, established with the $2.5 million settlement from Oceanic Airlines, has grown into a $47 million organization focused on children's advocacy. 847 scholarships awarded to minority students pursuing aviation careers. 23 airports renamed terminals for civil rights heroes. 152 schools receive anti-bias curriculum funding. 247 children received trauma counseling after discrimination incidents. Zara serves as the Foundation's youngest board member, attending meetings via video call and providing the child's perspective on all initiatives. The final lesson. 2 years after the incident, Dominic speaks at Harvard Business School's Leadership and Social Justice Seminar. The auditorium is packed with future executives eager to understand how corporate responsibility and personal values intersect. Power, Dominic tells them, is not about what you can build or how much you can control. Power is about what you choose to protect when no one is watching. He clicks to a slide showing Zara at her 8th birthday party, surrounded by friends of every background, all laughing together. My daughter was kicked for dropping a toy. But in that moment, ordinary people made an extraordinary choice. They chose to see a child who needed protection rather than a situation they could avoid. He pauses, looking out at the eager faces. Technology gave me the ability to shut down an airline, but those passengers gave me something more valuable. They showed my daughter that when injustice happens, good people will always outnumber the cruel ones. The students give him a standing ovation, but Dominic's focus is on the video screen where Zara waves from Atlanta. "Hi, Daddy. Tell them about the airplane." He laughs, the sound echoing through the lecture hall. She's referring to the new aircraft Oceanic Airlines, named in her honor, the Zara Mitchell, which flies routes specifically designed to connect underserved communities to educational opportunities. He closes his presentation with words that will be quoted in business schools for decades. Justice isn't about revenge. It's about making sure the next child never has to face what my daughter faced. And when you have power, whether it's technology, money influence, or just a voice, you have a choice. You can use it to exclude or you can use it to protect. Choose protection. Choose courage. Choose love. Because sometimes the most powerful force in the world isn't technology or money or authority. Sometimes it's just a father's refusal to let his daughter's dignity be negotiated. Today, the aviation industry operates under what's known informally as the Mitchell Standard, the understanding that technology platforms and corporate power carry the responsibility to protect the vulnerable. Zara Mitchell, now a confident young girl, travels freely knowing that her father's love changed an entire industry. She still carries her stuffed airplane Hope as a reminder that sometimes the most powerful force in the world is a parent's refusal to let their child be diminished. Victoria Hartwell completed her community service and now works as a diversity consultant, dedicating her career to ensuring others don't repeat her mistake. The 30 seconds of cruelty that cost her everything became the foundation for a lifetime of redemption. She never forgot the lesson that every child deserves dignity regardless of who they are or where they come from. The planes still fly. The technology still connects us across continents. But now, every time a child boards an aircraft, they enter a space made safer by the understanding that love, when combined with power and principle, can literally move mountains. Or in this case, ground every plane in the sky until justice is served. If this story moved you, please hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Stories like this remind us that standing up for what's right can change everything. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more powerful stories of justice and human dignity. Until next time, remember that your voice matters, and your actions can create the change the world needs to see.